Hello everyone, welcome back to the 2026 Portfolio Challenge series. This is episode 30, and there's a lot to talk about this week, so let's just get right into it. As a quick overview, here's the 2026 main portfolio. I am now back up to 135k, the deep value is at 125k, and our meme stock is at 95k. And the SPY and the QQQ, this is just the weekly, they're up 1.1% and 0.5%, and 10.1% and 12.3%. Disclaimer, this video is not financial advice. Today's itinerary, so just a quick note on a few of the portfolio changes this week, not too much happened. Then some of the watch list and macro news, which is going to be very long, and then some of the portfolios at the end, and we'll talk about that. Now the portfolio changed this week, so in general, nothing really changed in terms of portfolios, but my GME, Poor Man's Covered Calls, I did continue that, and so at the beginning of the week, I did sell covered calls for this past week, and then this Friday I did sell covered calls. So I do believe I am up to 162 calls. These are leaps, and I am short 158. This is the weekly. So that's very high overview. Then some of the watch list and macro news. So we previewed a lot of earnings last week, and so we're going to review a lot of them. Now, I'm not going to say too much about most of them, because most of them, I just didn't have time to listen to all these conference calls. I listened to a lot of them, but not all of them. And most of them aren't super interesting anyways. So it's mostly just talking about the numbers. And then I do want to preview a few of them. So the main ones I want to preview for this week are AMD, ELF, Celsius, and SanDisk. And then I do want to talk a bit about the Situational Awareness Fund by Leopold, what happened there this week, and not in terms of the fund. There's better places you can go listen to about that. There's Martin Shkreli on YouTube. There's many podcasts, many Twitter accounts that talk about this and what happened here. I just want to talk about what happened here in terms of the market and the aftermath of it and what we can expect going forward, in my opinion. So let's just get right into it. SK Hynix earnings. So SK Hynix, they missed earnings. This really annoyed me because I know it's not a new company, but it is a new stock in the US exchange, and they need to learn how to play the game, and they just didn't do it properly. In the US, you're supposed to guide low and then beat. This actually isn't even showing up here on TradingView, but they did miss their earnings this week, which wasn't great. So the stock, I believe it was around 155 before earnings, and then it just it dropped to 144, but this is also due to what happened with the whole situational awareness thing. So it's not just that. Now, the next one up is Rivian. So Rivian is one of those stocks that it's not a value play, but it is a growth play, and I do believe in them. And the current price is 15.84. It is down from 17.5 right before earnings. My price targets haven't changed. I do think that at $20, it gives it enough leeway into the next few years. But I do think $20 is a fair price to give it. Now, what did we learn from the Rivian call? We learned that the R2, their Model Y comparison, meaning their cheaper variant. So the Founders Edition is already up. They have been selling that more than they can produce. And now they're going to start releasing the premium variant this quarter. And I believe they said that they might not be releasing the cheaper versions this year, but it will be at the first quarter of next year, they will be releasing the cheaper versions. And then the R2 overall will turn profitable in quarter 4 of this year, which is great to hear. Because oftentimes in a ramp for these car companies, it takes a long time for their cars to be profitable. So within a year of ramp to be profitable on one of their products is really good. And then the other big thing that they said, and so far they've been good on their timelines. So I do believe this, is that they say point-to-point autonomous vehicle, point-to-point navigation, that's going to be available by the end of the year. So what is point-to-point? That's basically what they're calling their version of Tesla's full self-driving. So they've got this thing called Autonomous Plus, and basically right now it's mostly for highways, basically Tesla Autopilot, and point-to-point is going to be where you plug in your point into the computer, and then it is going to be still eyes onto the road, but it will take you to where you want, which is basically Tesla's full self-driving. And they said that hopefully by the end of next year, they did not give a hard time for this one. They said hopefully by the end of the next year, so 2027, end of 2027, they are planning to be eyes off as well. And they also said that hopefully in 2028, it's going to be where you can put in that you want to go to the airport and the car will drop you off and then drive back home. Now, we'll see. That seems like it's going to be a lot longer than 2 years for me, but I'm optimistic. Cinemark. So Cinemark, this is a company that I've been talking about for a few months now, I believe. Since back here, or even, no, since way back here in February. Basically, they've got a lot of great tailwinds with all the good movies coming out this year. And I believe people are now starting to see their profitability. So, yeah, I think the stock is going to keep rising. I called back then it was 35, and now my price target is all the way up to 60. It is not, so it was 70, and then I dropped it down to 60 because I realized I was using a multiplier that was too big for them. Not because of anything they did wrong. And their earnings obviously double beat. SK Hynix, please learn from them. Please. This is how you just do it. And I do like Cinemark, by the way. I think they've got a great thing going there. So Meta, the only thing I was looking at was CapEx. To be honest, CapEx is not slowing down. So their cash flow is decreasing from year to year, which is not a good thing, but I am still very bullish. I believe in Zuckerberg. I think he's got good long-term vision. And he's making a huge gamble right now. And I just don't see how they lose. They have WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, and now Facebook dating. And I would not be surprised if they're going to have Marketplace expand into something bigger. But they basically have all the data on anyone, anything you ever want. Meta has it. So I just don't see how they lose. Like even if they're not the first to the AI race, like Meta Spark just came out and it's not even close to ChatGPT 5.6 or Claude Opus 5 or Fable 5. But I do think that given 2-3 years, they're not going to be held down. So I am very bullish. My current target is 880 compared to 950 from before earnings. And this is mostly because of their CapEx spend. And just so we can see that, financials, income statement, you can see revenue growth did grow substantially, but operating income growth did not grow enough. And this is mostly because selling, general and admin, and research and development have just skyrocketed. Okay, next up is Microsoft. So Microsoft is growing at an increasing rate, finally. Well, almost at an increasing rate. It's not quite 20%, which is where I like my stocks. I like them at 20%, but it is very close to 20%. And my new price target for them is 529. I think they had great earnings, and I think the market rewarded them for that, as they should. As you can see, this is from last week. I said they were going to be 500. And the new target is now 529. And that's mostly just because each quarter I look 4 quarters out. So this is just revenue increasing further. It's not anything special that they did. Robinhood. Robinhood actually came down straight to my target price, which was actually kind of funny. My target price for Robinhood, it was at around 85. I gave it a 90. Now it's at 86, like actually 86. And so the highlights from the Robinhood call that I remembered was that they're growing the gold card, which is their credit card. So they're growing that, and they're releasing their platinum card, and they've already got over 1 million or 1.5 million Robinhood Gold Card users. And so their gold revenue and their gold card revenue is growing exponentially. And I think they said $17 billion were exchanged on the Robinhood Gold cards this past quarter, which is insane. I can double check that, but that's what I remembered hearing. And they also talk about how they're expanding now abroad. They have licenses in Singapore and in Canada now, and they are expanding their tokenized assets in Europe. So we'll see where this goes. I am very bullish long-term on Robinhood. I just need to see the numbers first. And let's just take a look at Robinhood. Currently, their market cap, that's actually pretty low, 77 billion. Yeah, great revenue growth. I love to see it. Love it. And by the way, this is a lot because of the World Cup and all their prediction markets, they're calling it. So you can gamble on Robinhood. And so the World Cup obviously just happened this quarter, and now you had people gambling on a huge sporting event. So football's starting up soon, so I don't see that slowing down, but I am very happy that they're growing at a very nice rate. And again, double beat, SK Hynix, please learn. Apple, okay. So I've been saying Apple is overvalued for a bit now. It was at 330, my price target was 300, and my new price target is 290. Analysts have it at 323, which is up then from what I remember it being. They're just not growing at a fast enough pace. But what I did like to see, and I was wrong about this last week, 75% of the revenue is from the iPhones. It is still an iPhone company. Everything else is on the side. So even with the increases in prices and what I expect is going to be a decrease in sales for the MacBooks, it's still the iPhone company and their services are still selling. And there's rumors now that they're getting into the credit card business way deeper. So they are in the credit card business, but there are rumors that they're going to come out with the 3% credit card, just like Robinhood Gold is, 3% cash back. Which, if they actually do, they're just going to win that game, I think. Yeah, new target is 290. They did not show me anything spectacular. I did listen to the earnings call, just not too much happened. I'm waiting to see what happens in October with their releases, to be honest. But that's for next quarter. Amazon earnings, I was not impressed, to be honest. The revenue is growing quicker, but it's not all AWS growth, but AWS is a lot of it, but AWS is very small. So we can go here to Estimize really quickly because they do split it by AWS revenue and total revenue. So first, that total revenue, you can see they're at $202 billion. This is for the next quarter estimation. So these are all, between $250 and $200 billion. And AWS, despite growing, okay, so this is what people expect, and it's not that far off. That's 45 billion, and it is growing at a nice rate, but it's only growing at, under 10 billion, which is pretty big, but, under 10 billion per quarter. So even with all that, Amazon still needs to perform properly, even with AWS growing. But I do see a lot of growth avenues for Amazon. So I do believe, even with my on paper target being just 250, with their current price jumping to 270, by the way, the market rewarded them phenomenally. Look at this jump right here. Yeah, 15% jump. The market rewarded Amazon, and rightfully so, but I am very long-term bullish. Just my methodology does not accurately evaluate Amazon, in my opinion. So there it is. Amphenol earnings. So Amphenol is data center hardware. They mostly work with fiber stuff. The stock price is 160 now. It is up from 145 before earnings. And this is a stock I have previously held in, I think, all of my portfolios, and I sold at 150 after buying at around 120. I might get back into it because my new price target is 190 and they are not showing any signs of slowing down. This is quarterly. Yeah. So look at this insane revenue growth. We're talking over 50% every single quarter for the past 2 years almost. This is 7 quarters of almost 50% or more. And operating income is still awesome. This 117 and 23.5, that is them acquiring, I believe it's, I wrote it here, CommScope. So that's even bigger in AI earnings, or AI build out. So I do believe that they are not going to slow down. And so this price target is probably going to keep rising much higher. And just to see where I am compared to analysts say 200. By the way, when I do my analysis, I do not look at this. I literally am just looking at this here during the video. I generally do not care what analysts think. So it sounds like we're on the same page. So that's about a, 20% increase? 25? I think it's worth the risk to take it. So AMD, I am not bullish on AMD like other people are. I think it is significantly overvalued. My price target is 170, and this is earnings preview, by the way, not review. They do have earnings this week. We can pull it up here on Tuesday. Now, some of the other YouTubers that I watch, Jeremy Lefebvre, for instance, he believes that AMD is going to start posting some shock and awe numbers. I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know where they're getting 550 analyst price target. That's what I just saw over there. Their quarterly, it is growing at over 30%, and it's likely going to continue that way. But, even if I replaced this multiplier of 25 with 30, that's still going to be only around 200. So I'm going to need to see a lot more than that. If this jumps to 20 billion, then we're talking. I mean, their revenue is 37 billion. Their market cap is almost $1 trillion. I don't know. Their forward PE is huge as well. We'll see. I think it'll grow into its dollar value of the stock. It might not drop down to 170, but this is it's gonna need to grow into this before it keeps pushing higher. Again, we'll see. I'm happy for them if they can push forward and they're gonna be a $2,000 stock. I don't care. I'm not gonna invest in them right now. I think it's overvalued. Now, Elf earnings preview. So Elf, I really like their management. I love how their CEO knows all the ins and outs of the numbers. So this is one of the conference calls I am going to be listening to intently. And mainly what I want to hear about is their international expansion, both with the Elf brand into Europe and with Rode into South America and Europe. Now, Rode is probably going to be bigger than the actual Elf brand by the end of next year. Rode is insanely fast growing. But I do want to see it. I want to see the breakdown of all the other revenues for Naturium, for Elf, for Rode. And then I do want to see a big revenue growth because estimates are not that big to my, if I remember correctly. Yeah, estimates are saying 23 to, I hope they do more than 23% up. I really hope they beat by more than 23%. And I think they need to beat by around 35% just to be safe. So we'll see. The stock price is up to what I believe it should be. My current price target is 82 and Elf is at 82.89. Hopefully after these earnings, that price target can shift up to 100 and maybe Elf will also jump into it. Elf is known to jump either up or down on earnings. So it is it's a very responsive stock to earnings. So I think earnings are going to be good, and therefore I believe that it's going to jump more than likely. I sold a covered call on this in the main portfolio, but that's just because I'm holding a lot of Elf, and I'm holding 400 shares of Elf, and so I sold 4 covered calls at 90. So I've got some upside, and I sold them for around $3 each, so 300. So that's $1,200 in cash. Next up, Celsius. So the Celsius brand itself, I know, is stagnating. But from what I've been reading, Alani Nu is taking over the entire female energy drink market. So, Alani Nu belongs to Celsius. So I fully believe that they will be growing their earnings or their revenue faster than what people think it's going to happen. This is obviously just because of the acquisition of Alani. So it literally doubled everything. And you can see here that the projected revenue growth is going to substantially decline. And again, I personally believe that they're going to shatter expectations. I think Celsius is a great product in terms of the market they have. And I know it's technically not a big moat because even Kirkland has their own brand of energy drink. But I think Alani Nu is I think it's been taking over and it's going to be hard to replace it. My price target is currently 45, and I will happily raise that price target up to 50 or 55, depending on what they say. And I do want to hear more about international expansion. I've been hearing rumors that they're going to do it, so hopefully they talk about it in these earnings. Now, SanDisk earnings review or preview. The stock price is currently $12.14. It should be higher overnight. Yeah, it's at $12.50 right now. I think they have upside of literally 2x from here. And they need to beat earnings. Now, SanDisk, along with SK Hynix and Micron, they were basically pushed down hugely over the past week because of what happened with Situational Awareness Fund and Leopold, which is what I'm going to talk about now. So Situational Awareness is a hedge fund by Leopold that was up. It was like up 1000x or 1000% this year. And it's mainly a big AI trade. So they're betting big on OpenAI, on Claude, but also on Micron, SanDisk, and I'm not sure if SK Hynix, but I know for a fact Micron and SanDisk. And they were overly leveraged. So they were 4x leveraged on everything. And then when Micron and SanDisk, when that started hitting down to, what day was this? Yeah, when SanDisk was at about 1400, which is a 35%, I believe around 35% down from previous highs. 45%. Sorry about that. So SanDisk was down almost 50% from previous highs. And if you're 4x leveraged on 50%, obviously it depends on your cost basis, but you're overly leveraged. So what happened was Citadel and Jane Street came in and they basically bailed out Situational Awareness. It was not a liquidation. And so Situational Awareness had to sell them, didn't have to, but it sold them their entire public portfolio, to my knowledge. I'm not sure at what price, but the reason that happened is because they were at risk of getting margin called. And then Citadel and Jane Street basically got word of this and they just dumped the price down. And this was not natural, obviously. This is all the way down to 1,000, which is down 50% or more than where it was. So this all happened. I wanted to check this big move right here. It dropped 35% in 4 trading days. That is an insane move, and it's already recovered most of it, obviously, because there was no reason for it to drop except for hedge funds just trying to overtake other hedge funds. I do recommend go on Twitter or anywhere you can go, read the letter that Leopold wrote to all his investors and the fund itself. It is very interesting to see how he's thinking about it. He is back. They are still up 80% year to date, which is insane. And that is mostly because of Claude and OpenAI. So they still have a ton of assets. And, you know, I think they'll be back. I am also a firm believer in this SanDisk and Micron trade. So there we go. Now for the portfolios changes this week. So my main portfolio, it's up 7% over last week. It's up 35% total over the year. Not too much to talk about. Here's the graph compared to the SPY and the QQQ. Sorry. Here's the graph compared to the SPY and the QQQ. We can see compared to the QQQs as well. Changes this week. I sold a tiny bit of Micron and I did the ELF sell. Here are my historical winners and losers. I will zoom in for this. If you want, you can stop and take a look. Here are my current holdings. Nothing has changed. Basically, it's just change in the allocations of them because of how much money is in them. Yeah, 7% seemed a lot. I remembered it being 137 last week. So I'm up around 1% week over week. Here's my profit and loss by tickers. This is basically up here. Micron and SanDisk are obviously the biggest. And my worst losers are Celsius and Meta. That's funny. Oh, Meta's going to be great. And these are my current holdings. The meme stock portfolio, as I said earlier, I'm up to 162 shares. And my goal is to be at around 220 or so. Ideally 250, but 220 I'll be happy. And at 220 leaps times 5.5, that is 120K, which, that's a 20%. I'll be happy. And here I've got my simulation and actually what's happening. So you can see I am in between the 25th percentile and the 75th percentile. And the 25th percentile is going to be at 135K at the end of the year. So if I can stay in between this band, and obviously it's not up to me, but if I could stay in between the band, I will be more than happy. 35% based on everything that's happened to this portfolio this year. That is going to be amazing. Here is my current history with this current GameStop performance covered calls tracking. And you can see basically where I am sitting compared to my simulations. So my number of options is larger than what the simulations have, and hopefully it'll stay that way. The deep value, again, nothing happened this week. I did have a pretty decently large jump this week in terms of, no, it was 124K and 125K. Never mind. I was just looking at the graph. I'm not sure why this is happening. This is probably a bug. Probably Alpaca's bug, to be honest. And here are my winners and losers. This does not look right that Micron is losing because, oh, yeah, this doesn't include everything. Because Micron, I bought into Micron at 300 in this portfolio. But this is just based on the Alpaca one. Okay, I believe that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Good luck this week. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.